Greetings, friends. I'm AK.
And I'm Laura.
And we are
The Chainsaw Girls.
Today.
I'm so excited.
So this is Laura's recommendation to me. And I had so many questions just off the recommendation alone. So today we're going to be talking about 1987's, because you already know we love 1987, Slumber Party Massacre 2. It's very important to note that this is number 2. And my first question was, why doesn't she want me to watch number 1?
Okay, it's not that number 1 isn't great.
Yes.
Because it is. However, part 2 is so over the top and outrageous, and it's a musical.
Now I understand. So do you want to start off before we even get into it? Do you want to read the IMDb description?
I do. Okay, so yes, as you said, it came out in 1987. It was directed and written by Deborah Brock. And the IMDb summary goes as follows. Courtney Bates, the younger sister of Valerie, and her friends go to a condo for a weekend getaway. But Courtney can't get rid of the haunting feeling that a supernatural rockabilly driller killer is coming to murder them all. It's oddly specific.
I love that this description says rockabilly, because I wrote in my notes later on in the movie, I'm like, is this like rockabilly? Am I getting the genre right?
Oh, that's
and
great.
Now it's confirmed I was right. So if you want to watch this before you listen to any spoilers, this is streaming currently at the time of this recording on Prime, Shudder, Tubi, amongst many others. It's streaming pretty much everywhere.
The movie did have a budget of $500,000. However, it made $1.3 million.
It did well.
Which is very exciting. It was actually a really good VHS seller. That sentence sucked. But I think you understand. It sold really well on
made
VHS.
Sense. Yeah.
Which makes sense because the cover is pretty wild. The cover, which is featured behind us. We had to cut some of it off.
Yeah, so
for reasons. But
3 girls, if you are just listening to this and not watching, we see the driller killer with his guitar that has a giant drill on the top of it. And then the 3 girls who are scared, of course, in lingerie. The girl at the bottom, we just cropped out a little bit because we know sometimes YouTube and such, they don't like that type of stuff, which we're not even going to get into that right now.
We're not going to get into it. However, okay, we're going to point out a couple things. Movies that were released in October of 1987, because the movie was released on October 16th specifically. October 1987, Prince of Darkness, which scared the absolute out of me.
I didn't see it
when I saw it.
I haven't seen it.
It's creepy. It's a demon movie. Not a demon. It's like Son of the Devil.
Okay.
So what is that? Damien? Was that Damien?
Sounds right.
Okay. The video Dead was also released in October 1987, which you have to watch.
Yeah, so far I have not seen these.
Zombies crawling out of TVs. I mean,
okay.
What else can you ask for? Okay, and also Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2, which is one of my favorites. I love that movie. It's really good. It's the sequel to Prom Night.
Are these all going to be on our list because I haven't seen these?
I think they have to be, because I think you would enjoy them.
Especially if Prom Night 2 was one of your favorites, then I feel like I have to watch it.
Yeah, it's really enjoyable. I was actually surprised that the sequel to Prom Night would actually be really good, and it's a great movie.
Okay.
So, very cool. Also, little tidbits. Slumber Party Massacre 2 was working under the title Don't Let Go, which is basically when they were negotiating with advertising companies, specifically Pepsi. They were using that as the title. But then they shortened it to Slumber Party Massacre 2 because producer, the incredible Roger Corman, wanted that. So, yeah, pretty cool.
This definitely catches your attention more than Don't Let Go.
That guitar. There's so many things to be said about that guitar. It's wild.
So I know that In Search of Darkness 3, the documentary, Deborah Brock, the producer, she was a co-producer, writer, and director, right? And she said that this was a meta film to comment on slashers at the time, but at the same time, it was also one of them.
Yes.
So I totally understand that sentiment. So I actually started watching the first Slumber Party Massacre. I didn't finish it, but I started watching it, and I was even more confused because I was like, wait a minute. How did they go from this guy to driller killer that we see in 2? I'm like, are they the same? What is going on? So in the first one, I see where it evolved. In the first one, the killer is an escaped mass murderer from prison. His name is just Russ.
Russ.
His name is Russ, and he does use a power drill as his weapon of choice.
Of course he does.
That has now, from the first one, evolved into Driller Killer, who has a gigantic drill on the top of his guitar.
Yes.
He looks like a 50s greaser.
Okay, wait. We can't jump into what Driller Killer looks like yet.
No, he's on the cover.
Oh, that's true. He is on the cover. But I just feel like when he's revealed.
Okay.
When he's revealed, it's so outrageous.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Once I actually looked in more to part 1, it started to link part 2 a little better, because I remember asking you and you were saying like, yes, it's a sequel. Because my first question was, is this a sequel or is it just a different movie that they gave a similar name? But it is a sequel.
It is, yeah.
Because we're introduced in the very beginning of this movie to Courtney, who is a different actress, but in the first movie, right?
Yes, she's the younger sister of Valerie, and Valerie is one of the girls in the original that was being attacked and by this Russ character, the Driller Killer Russ.
Yes.
So they went through a very traumatic experience together.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, can we say what Valerie did, or you want to wait? Okay.
Please, yeah.
So in the first one, Valerie kills Russ. She's the one who kills the killer.
Yeah.
And Courtney, her younger sister that she was babysitting at the time, witnessed this. Obviously very traumatic.
Yes.
So now we're in part 2. Courtney is now in high school. And we open up with her dreaming. I love your notes for this, by the way. Oh my gosh, what does it say exactly? Because I remember saying it to you. I was like, it says Courtney's dreaming of her crush, Matt, playing football and looking fine.
I mean, right? Like,
yeah, for sure.
I don't dream like this. My dreams are never this coherent and clear. Very rarely.
He's like slow motion running through a field, his shirt's off.
Like a fantasy.
Maybe playing football
He's
or
playing
something.
Football,
okay.
Yeah, and he's like a good looking guy, and clearly Courtney's into him.
Yeah.
We should also mention that Courtney's last name is Bates, and a few of the characters in the movie have names like from other movies, like homages to other movies.
Yes.
Which we'll get into as we go along.
Yeah.
But I thought that was kind of fun that they use Bates.
Yes.
Loved that. Yeah.
So Courtney's dreaming of her crush, but it gets interrupted. I don't know why I just said it like that. Interrupted by, we don't know yet.
We're not sure.
I mean, you know if you look at the poster, but we don't know yet. Someone or something is kind of disrupting her dreams, or it just seems like she's having nightmares. She's having recurring nightmares, and she tells her mom that, oh, it's just the same old bad dream.
And her mom, understandably so, is extremely overprotective of Courtney because her sister Valerie is now in a mental institution.
Yes.
Do we call them that?
They keep saying mental hospital.
Yeah, that's what they refer to it.
Quote unquote, a mental hospital.
Yes, that is what I'm referring to it, simply because that's what they say in this movie. So she is in an institution, and the mother, I think, is very traumatized by what happened.
Yeah.
And when Courtney's explaining her dreams to her mom is asking if she needs to see a doctor.
Yeah.
So I think she believes that, oh gosh, now my younger daughter is also going to have like a psychotic break.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's sad. I feel for both of them. Yeah. Honestly, I do.
But Courtney just kind of feels, it seems like she's like brushing it off. Oh, it's just the same old bad dream. I'm fine.
Yeah. And you know what? Like after experiencing what she did in the first movie, it's understandable why she's having horrible night terrors.
But she's getting flashes of really scary images. Death. Specifically, there's a dead bird she sees in her dream, which she then walks to school, sees this same dead bird that she just saw in her dream. So clearly, maybe she's having premonitions. We don't know yet.
We're not sure.
But that's seems too weird and specific. It was like a white bird in both the dream and the real life. And the real life. So it seems like a little too much to be a coincidence.
Agreed. And actually that bird that she sees on the street, on the sidewalk, was actually a dead frozen bird.
Oh, it was?
It was, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know all that.
I know, I didn't know it. When I read about it, I was like, oh my God.
Oh,
you know me with animals. I'm like, oh no.
They definitely don't do that anymore in movies.
Definitely not. But once she sees the bird, she's being picked up by her girlfriend. And I really, really loved this scene because she's in the car. I believe
her name's Amy.
Amy. Okay,
yes.
I wasn't sure. Okay, Amy. They're in the car together, and it reminded me so much of being like a teenager.
Yeah.
With my best friend. Yeah. And they're just kind of like hanging out. I think they're singing. They're just like.
Oh, I wrote down the song that they're singing.
What are they singing?
I don't know if this is the actual title, but I just wrote down Tokyo Convertible.
Oh, I did not catch it.
That's what she's like, oh, this is my jam. And they turn it up and they're both just like,
They're having so much fun.
they are. The dance moves, it's 87.
Yeah.
But
listen, I loved seeing them being best friends.
The
together.
camaraderie.
Yeah, you could just tell they're really close, right? And we do learn that music is a really big part of their relationship.
Yes, because she is in a band with Amy and their other two friends, Sheila and Sally.
Yes.
Do they ever say the name of the band?
I was about to ask you the same question.
So maybe not.
I don't know if they do. If they do, and we didn't pick up on that, please let us know. But yeah, it's neat. We're introduced to Sally and Sheila, and it's obvious that they're all very close.
Yes.
They're good friends.
Yes. And we already established Courtney has a huge crush on Matt. She wants to invite him up to Sheila's place because they're having this conversation. I think they cut to like the garage. The girls are practicing. Some boys are.
Well, she invites Matt to come watch her practice.
Yes.
Which I think is so cute.
It is.
I think it's really sweet. She's like very shy about it, and she's like, do you want to come like watch my band practice? And he's like, hell yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I love that.
And then she invites him to watch her practice again, but this time like up at, they say like Sheila's parents' cabin or whatever it is, a house where her parents are not going to be.
That's right. And he's game. He wants to go.
Yeah.
I have to point something out. I wrote it in my notes here. I love Sally's outfit when they're practicing in the garage. She's got this super cute like pink outfit on, this little pink lacy kind of top and these little bottoms that almost look like boxers, but they're like boxer briefs, which are kind of in style right now, which I thought was kind of funny. But I love her outfit. It's so stinking cute.
I want to see a picture of it now because I don't recall exactly what she was wearing. I only remember what she's wearing, like a blue outfit at some point, I think.
Oh, she got a super cute blue bikini in one scene. I wrote that down too. I just think Sally looks great. She's a drummer too, by the way. She's
Sally,
badass.
fashion icon.
We love Sally. Okay. So you're right. She does. Yeah, she's invited up to the condo, which is essentially this house with no parental supervision.
Yes, and she has to convince her mother to let her go. She mentions, oh yeah, you know, Sheila's parents, they're very strict. You can tell she slips it in there because that like kind of convinces her mother like, okay, well then I guess I'll let you go.
Well, and also the mother's forgotten that it's her birthday this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
It's Courtney's birthday, and it's so funny because it like dawns on her mom because her mom wants to take her to the mental institution to see her sister Valerie.
Yes.
And poor Courtney's like, yo mom, it's my birthday.
Yeah.
And then it's like the mom is like, oh, like subtext, oh, I forgot it was her birthday. I don't have a present for her. Of course you can go.
This is my gift to you. Because she says, like, this would be the best gift ever. She's like, you know what? Oh, I didn't get you one, so...
That, you know, happy birthday. Yes. Yeah. Okay, and also I have to point this out. When the girls pick Courtney up, Courtney walks out of the house with, like, a weekender bag that I swear to God is the size of my regular purse. And it looks empty. And she's just like, okay, bye, Mom. And, like...
She brought a bikini and that's all she needed. She knew bikini, maybe some condoms. I don't know. That's all she needed.
But oh my gosh, if it was me, 2 suitcases, at least 2 suitcases and a duffel.
In case.
And a bag of snacks. Like a road trip and we don't have any snacks?
Come on. A separate tote bag full of snacks.
Oh, 100%. You know it.
You should see us packing a car for a road trip. Like
so many snacks, so much stuff. And honestly, everything you need.
Especially when you're in a car though. You can throw whatever you want in there. Why not? Yes.
And honestly, everywhere I go, I have, like, in my purse, in my everyday purse, I have, honestly, anything and everything that you could be looking for. Like, there are shout wipes. There's Pepto. You just never know.
You don't.
Imodium. Man, you know the story. I almost shit my pants 2 weeks ago.
Oh my gosh.
Honestly, I need it. I gotta have it.
I wasn't expecting you to say that on the podcast.
Oh yeah, that was bad. I'm not gonna go into detail, but it was scary. Okay. Anyways, I digress. How come every time we get on the podcast, I'm talking about in some
because it's relatable. You know what? People don't want to talk about it, but we all do it. All
it's true. Sometimes you just have a attack. You know what I mean?
So they keep flashing to Courtney having these recurring nightmares, and they keep getting more and more graphic. Mm-hmm. And now we're starting to see this greaser-looking man is tormenting her in her dreams. He looks like he's from the movie Grease, in my opinion.
He looks like John Travolta.
He does. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the picture they showed. Like, I want you to look like this.
Yes. And he's got like a black leather jacket with like Ultimate Warrior style, like
tassels.
Fringe. Yeah.
Oh, fringe.
Fringe,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, is he singing yet? He's kind of singing a little bit.
Maybe there's a lot of singing. It is a musical, which is interesting that you love this movie because I know you're not the biggest fan of musicals.
No, I don't. I like them.
I'm with you. It just so happens that one of my favorite movies ever is Little Shop of Horrors, which is a musical, but I make exceptions. And actually, I do like the movie Grease. I used to watch it a lot as a kid. My sister was obsessed with it. So we'd watch it a lot, and I do know all the songs. But it's only a handful of musicals that I really like. I'm not well versed in all of them.
Yeah.
And usually when I see, oh, it's a musical, I'm not like, oh yeah, I want to see that. I'm like, ugh.
In fact, I think a musical actually, it deters me from watching it.
Sometimes it does. So I didn't realize going into this that this was a musical. I never would have thought because I know how you feel about musicals in general.
Whenever you say why, I say because Miss Buddy.
Yeah, it was just so out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop watching it. You know?
Do you think that if you were told it was a musical first, you would not have even turned it on?
Yes.
See,
I'm not a musical person.
So you need to give it a chance because you liked this one.
I know, but come on. Musicals, really?
It depends.
The thing is, I understand why they're I understand why people love them, but for some reason, like for example, Buffy the Vampire Slayer has an episode called Once More with Feeling. I know I'm going off topic here, but what else is new? It's called Once More with Feelings, and people love it.
Mm-hmm. And you're a huge Buffy fan.
I'm a massive Buffy fan, and I am not a fan of the episode. I just don't love musicals.
I think that's fair. You know, it's not how conversations normally go in life where people just bust out, start singing.
Right, but I do love Slumber Party Massacre too.
So there are exceptions to the rule. Anyway.
Yeah.
So greaser-looking man is tormenting her in her dreams. We still don't know what is going on, if these are nightmares, premonitions, we don't know.
Yeah, we're not sure yet, but there's definitely something happening here. And I think it's kind of alluded to, like, is this just really bad PTSD?
Yeah.
Which I think in a lot of ways it is for sure. It does definitely represent the trauma that comes with experiencing something like what they experienced. It was horrifying. But yeah, we're just not sure yet.
Right. Yeah. And now she does eventually see her sister Valerie in the dream.
Yes.
And Valerie is in like a hospital gown and she's telling her, don't go all the way.
Which we don't know what that means yet.
We don't, but it's a very 80s thing. It's a very 80s thing when we find out what it does mean.
Sure does. Yeah. For sure.
And I also noticed, which I guess this doesn't really come into play later, but when they're all in the car together going up to Sheila's place or her parents' place, it seems that Sally and Sheila think Valerie, the sister, is just away at college. They say something like, oh, where does Valerie go? Or where is she at? And Courtney says like, oh, she goes to whatever college, and she has a look on her face like, and I think Amy and her and Amy look at each other like,
yeah, like I think it's like a secret that I'm sure Courtney feels uncomfortable even having to have as a secret.
yeah,
Right? Like that's something that you would want your close friends to know.
yeah. And I imagine, especially in 1987, it would have been something that was way more shamed.
Oh, yeah.
And so you keep that, it's your family secret.
Yeah.
Which is really sad.
It is really sad, for sure.
But I thought maybe that was going to come into play in the end, and it didn't. I didn't know if like there was going to be a reveal, and I don't know, the girls are like, what? But it never came back.
No, I wonder if it's just it's just a bit of social commentary on, what it was like back then.
Yeah.
I mean, even now, that's still,
such a stigma and a taboo. And,
yes, there's such a stigma around mental health, but I think here specifically, yeah, I hate that for her.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
You don't want to lie to your friends, you know? And honestly, like, carrying that alone is, for a teenager, I think that's really tough. But when they get to Sheila's condo, it's important to note that this is in, like, a neighborhood development kind of complex. So it's a residential area that hasn't been fully built yet. Like, a new kind of...
Yes.
build.
There are still houses that are being built.
Yeah.
And
so you see like the framework of the houses around them, and there's really nobody around.
Yeah.
This condo it's a house, but it's very isolated.
Yes. Maybe a couple people are living in it already, but it's interesting because you would think that with a movie like this they would have put them in a cabin in the woods, but they didn't.
No, I like that it's like it's creative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something different.
Agreed.
So Sheila pretty much right away when they get to this condo is established as the horny one, I would say, or the promiscuous one that these movies love to have, because she finds a blow-up doll in the bed and she's like, oh, my brother's been here.
Right, because she has brothers, and she thinks that they're playing pranks on her.
Yes.
Right? I think that's why the blow-up doll was in the bed.
Oh,
But
maybe.
I thought her brothers were just like kind of with her.
I thought it was that she's like, oh, my brother, the pervert, it was up here banging his doll.
Okay, you might be right.
Because I don't know, but she says, oh, my pervert brother was here or something. Someone says her brother's a pervert, and then someone else goes, it runs in the family, alluding to Sheila being also a pervert, I guess, or just like the horny one, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah, she's got a lot of energy. She's fun.
Yes.
Yeah, she's fun.
They have a great scene here where they're all having a slumber party, okay? They're eating snacks. They're drinking alcohol when they're not supposed to be because they're teenagers. And they start dancing.
Uh-huh.
I want, like, I don't know if we can put a clip of that in, but if we could, I want to, because the dancing in the scene, it kills me. It's so funny.
Yeah.
But it's also, you really feel like they're having a good time and they're really joking with each other and laughing.
Yeah, like they're good friends. They're
Yes.
good friends and they're being girls. Like they're
Yes.
just having fun. I don't
Yes.
know. Like, or at least, sorry, I shouldn't say being girls. It's like they're acting out the male fantasy, number one.
Oh, yes.
Big time. But also at that time, right? It's like girls just having fun. Girls love to
Yeah.
have slumber parties and hit each other with pillows. Like,
Yes.
that's the kind of, yeah.
At first, when they're having snacks and drinking and dancing, I'm like, yes, that. This is
Having a
what
good
we
time.
do. This is
Yeah,
what we do,
sure,
actually.
yeah.
But then, of course, these boys kind of come to crash their party early, and before they knock on the door, or actually they don't knock on the door, before they enter the house, their names are Jeff and TJ, okay? And they're like peeping through the window.
Yes.
And this is where it turns into the male fantasy, really, because Sheila takes her top off.
Why not?
I think Sally does too, but not her bra. But Sheila's like tits out.
Yeah.
Which I'm all for. Just
Free
for
the
the
nipple,
record.
man.
Free the nipple. But the fact that they're like watching her, top comes off, and to me that wasn't even the icing on the cake. It was the pillow fight with the feathers flying all through the air.
The ultimate male fantasy.
Which I think Jeff even says, like, oh, girls really do this?
Right. And it's like, no, Jeff, I hate to break it to you, buddy. They don't.
If feathers started flying everywhere, I'd be so annoyed.
I would be pissed. I'd be like, fuck, guys, come on. Now they're going to go everywhere.
Now I gotta get the vacuum out. But Jeff just sounds like the biggest. Oh, no, it's not Jeff. It's TJ. TJ. I kept confusing their names. TJ sounds like the biggest idiot. I think I can only imagine.
I hate TJ.
We hate TJ. There's always someone we're like, we hate them. But I think I can imagine the director being like, okay, I want you to sound as dumb as possible because we want you to be annoying as hell. And if that was the case, he nailed it.
He kind of has a surfer accent. Not accent's not the right word. He just, the way he talks, he's very like, surfs up. Like that he doesn't say that.
It's his voice. He sounds like he's doing a parody.
He does.
He
it's
does.
Great. It's fantastic, by the way. Like, he nails being a total douchebag.
I wrote down a quote because they're looking through the window, and maybe that's when Jeff is like, oh, do girls really do this? And TJ says, or whatever Jeff says, TJ says, because we're dead and this is heaven.
He has the worst lines. I wrote down some of his lines.
His laugh, it's like, like that's his voice.
He's insufferable. Like, he is the guy. Okay, you know what? This is TJ in a nutshell. You're having a good time with your friends. Everybody's chill, right? Maybe whatever. You guys are hanging out, having a good time. And then TJ shows up, and the energy in the room, like, he just sucks it up. And everybody lets out like a silent groan, but nobody admits to being annoyed by TJ, but everyone's kind of like low key, like, oh, we're not in the mood for this.
The tension has just risen. No one is relaxed anymore.
Yeah, he's got that obnoxious center of attention, everything's about me energy. It's just awful.
And they weren't supposed to be there that night. They were supposed to come the next day.
Right.
They're kind of having a conversation about that as they're walking up to the window. Jeff is like, aren't we supposed to be here tomorrow?
Yeah, I don't hate Jeff.
No,
like, Jeff seems
no.
somewhat normal. Like, Jeff is kind of, I think he's someone's boyfriend. Whose boyfriend is Jeff?
I don't remember. TJ for sure is with Sheila.
Yes, that's right. Oh, yeah.
I don't know if Jeff is established as anyone's boyfriend.
I can't recall. I didn't write it in my notes.
No, me
He's
neither.
not really that, I don't want to say he's not interesting, because he does come up later, but TJ stands out more than Jeff, I think, because TJ's so insufferable.
And TJ has way more lines too. Jeff is kind of like chilling in the background, but Jeff seems like a cool dude.
Yeah.
Jeff I would invite to the party.
Agreed. Not TJ, though.
So they're not supposed to be there that night. They crash the party and they kind of prank them, and I don't remember exactly what they do. I know that they end up grabbing Sheila maybe.
Yeah,
and,
they're just messing with the girls.
And they're pissed. They're like, you just scared the shit out of us.
Yeah.
And then it's established, oh, TJ and Sheila clearly have something going on because he's like on top of her.
He's so
and they start
annoying.
kissing her.
I just can't put into words. Have you ever met someone like TJ?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We're in the entertainment industry. What do you mean?
We've met a TJ. He's pretty brutal. Okay.
So, now Courtney, I guess she's upstairs sleeping. This is just later on. Courtney dreams again about this man, and this time he kills Valerie in the dream. So now she's really freaked out.
Yeah.
Nightmares they're just horrible because I'm sure many of us have experienced where you dream about something that when you say it out loud, it doesn't sound scary, but you know how you felt in that dream.
Yeah.
And you wake up and it feels real and it's terrifying.
Yeah.
On the contrary, sometimes you dream of crazy images and you wake up and you're not scared.
Yeah, you're just like, what is that?
In this case, it's both. Courtney dreams that this killer or this man kills Valerie. She wakes up and she's freaked out. I don't remember exactly what happens right after this. She goes and tells someone, right?
She tells Sally, and Sally says, I thought you were over that. In relation to Courtney being so distressed over her sister, and she's kind of telling...
I missed that line.
She's kind of telling Sally, I could be wrong, but this might be at the pool. I'm not...
Yes, that sounds right.
Yeah. And I remember when Sally said that, I was like, Sally, what the actual...
How insensitive.
I mean, Courtney has experienced something that very few people, I think, would ever experience. It's incredibly traumatic. She has really bad PTSD. And, I mean, it makes sense because Sally is a teenager.
Yeah.
And teenagers aren't always the sharpest. But her saying, like, oh, I thought you'd be over that. She's never getting over it. News flash. Never.
You thought she was over witnessing someone get killed?
A mass, there were several victims in the first movie. Like, this was not something, like, small, like her boyfriend cheated on her or something, even though that's terrible. Like, this is a really big event that happened to Courtney, and obviously Sally, being a teenager, can't grasp the severity of that.
Right.
And the magnitude of it.
I don't know exactly what Courtney witnessed in the first movie, except I know for sure she saw her sister kill this man. At the very least.
I haven't watched the first one in quite a while, so I can't tell you exactly what she saw, but she saw some shit, okay? Yeah. And Sally tells her to get over it. I think that was wild. But the next part of the scene is Courtney's eating. They're all having like burgers and stuff. Yeah. And this is the first time that she experiences a hallucination. Yes. So she's sitting there. They're all eating burgers. They're all having a good time. Courtney goes to grab her burger and she looks down and there's like a bloody hand or something.
A straight up hand.
A hand and then blood everywhere. Yes. She freaks out. She throws it. I also have to point out that TJ, I think before this, one of his classic lines, oh my God, I would want to punch this guy in the face. He goes, water's great. Let's skinny dip.
And you're just like,
shut up, TJ.
And while he's saying this in the pool, he's playing with the blow up doll, by the way.
Oh, he sucks. He is a child.
It's just little things that keep adding up.
Sorry, I just had to say that because it was brutal. But anyways, continue. Please.
He gets worse. He gets worse. And here specifically, because Courtney's freaking out, everyone's like, what are you talking about? She's like, I don't remember exactly what she says, but she's seeing a bloody hand. Obviously, no one else is seeing it. TJ's like, oh, I'll make you feel better. And he starts rubbing her shoulders. And she's just kind of like, okay, like clearly not really into it. Then he wraps his arms around her and starts grabbing her to the point where the entire friend group is like, stop, like, let her go, let her go. Like, it's not just Courtney that's uncomfortable. It's everyone, even Sheila, the one who's horny all the time.
And that's her boyfriend.
Oh, I forgot about that.
So she must be like, what are you doing?
Oh my gosh. I'm pretty sure Sheila says verbatim, stop grabbing her boob while everyone is yelling at him. And then he shoves Courtney into the pool.
It's horrible.
She goes underwater. She has like a weird vision of...
I feel like she's having almost a panic attack in the water. She blacks out a little bit.
Yeah, she must, because she dreams about him for a second under the water.
Yes. The what is it? The rockabilly.
The rockabilly. The man we don't know yet.
Yeah, the greaser.
Wink, wink. Mm-hmm. But yes, that makes way more sense that she blacked out, because I'm like, why is she seeing him? But actually, either way, she's having hallucinations either way. Mm-hmm. When she comes out of the pool, TJ's just like, sorry about that.
Oh, he's such a about it. He literally says, hold on. Yeah, he says, sorry about that.
You're like, checking my notes and sorry about that.
That is horrible. What the is that? She just had a full-on panic attack in the water. She nearly drowned. And instead of being extremely apologetic, our asshole TJ goes, sorry about that.
Like, clearly not very sincere. Amy's just kind of rolling her eyes at him, but I kind of wish that, like, Jeff or Sheila cussed him out or something. I don't know. Like, what the is your deal?
He's the worst. He's truly the worst.
Also, I totally forgot about in that scene that Sheila is with him. So I'm like, yeah, even more so, she should be like, what the was that?
Yeah. Disgusting. Okay.
So Courtney is just not having a great time.
She's having a really bad time.
She goes into the kitchen, and let me know if I'm jumping ahead. I know that she goes into the kitchen, and I don't even know what this is. Like, a raw chicken comes out of the fridge.
It, like, kind of, like, jump scares her.
It jumps at her, but I was going to say attacks her, but it doesn't really attack her.
It just, like, it leaps out of the fridge onto her.
And
then
it's on her.
And it starts oozing, like, stuff out of its, like, what is this called?
neck.
Gizzard?
Oh, it's neck.
It's neck. It doesn't have a head.
I don't know what gizzards are.
I don't
Is that
know.
the thing that hangs?
Oh,
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
Look.
We're not like poultry experts.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so yes, black ooze or something starts oozing out of its neck, and she obviously is freaking out. Two more people come into the kitchen. I think it's Jeff and maybe Sally.
I think it's Sally. Yeah.
Once again, they're like, we don't know what you're talking about. Everything's fine.
You should go have a bath. Don't they tell her to have a bath?
Yeah, because that is what happens next.
I do want to point out she has a conversation with Sally, and Sally starts comparing Courtney's PTSD to the zit on her face.
Oh yeah, that's after the bath.
And how much she, like, that whole conversation was absolutely wild.
I love that scene. So they think she's just hungover. Her friends are like, you had a lot to drink, and she's like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, like she's right. And she's been having these nightmares, and they're like, oh, you just need to take a break. Go have a bath. Go rest. Go relax.
Yeah.
Little self-care.
Yeah, so she goes and takes the bath. The bath turns into blood.
Great scene.
Great scene.
There's like a bubble bath, and then all of a sudden it starts turning red.
And of course, the water's now going everywhere.
It's awesome.
This is where Sally comes in. She's like, what's your problem?
Yeah, Sally kind of is like, what are you doing? Like,
Because I think the water's still on.
the water's still on, and Courtney ran out of the bathroom all, like, distressed. And Sally is just like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Like,
she's pissed off that the water's now overflowing, which logically I understand. Water damage is very serious in a house, okay?
no, it's true. I understand it. But at the
But-
same time,
Clearly your friend is going through it.
having a hard time.
This isn't the first instance. You have seen her now have really weird reactions to a lot of things. So this is where what you were talking about, where she's like, yeah, I know what you mean. I have this giant zit or whatever she says.
It's so, I mean, Sally, girl, take it easy.
But the practical effects in this scene,
So cool.
I love this scene because now Courtney starts hallucinating, looking at Sally's face, and Sally's face, the pimple gets bigger
It almost
and bigger.
like a growth. It turns into like a growth on her face, like
Eventually-
a pussy, nasty growth.
Yes, like half her face is melting and it just has like a huge white head on it, and I think it like spurts a little bit. It's so gross.
Oh god, it reminds me of those like pimple popping videos. It makes me want to throw up.
Oh yeah, it's not my thing. I know some people love that. It's very
can't.
satisfying. It's not my thing.
Not for me.
Though I will say, seeing people extract like just regular pores is kind of satisfying to me. And have you ever seen an ingrown hair extraction?
I can't. You're gonna make me.
I'm
throw
sorry.
up. You're gonna make me sick.
Those are satisfying to me, especially. Okay, I'm not gonna get into detail. Anyway, if it's for you, it's for you. Pimples, no. I'm good. I'm good on that. So, your face. I'm sorry.
No, but anyways, this
Yeah.
giant monstrosity of a zit explodes.
Oh yeah, it straight up explodes.
And Courtney is convinced that now Sally is dead.
Yeah.
And she runs downstairs. She runs to tell everybody. And everybody's kind of like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? But then no one can find Sally.
Yeah, they really can't find her, and now
She's gone.
Now Sheila's actually getting worried.
Yeah, the rest of the group is actually like, but of course TJ isn't worried. He's annoyed.
Yeah.
And he says something like, she's ruining my weekend.
Oh yeah, he does.
Referring to Courtney. Like, TJ.
If there is another random theme that just runs through all of these horror movies, it's that there's always a guy mad about being blocked.
Always.
Always.
Always. It was in
Which-
Zombievers as well.
Yeah. I'm sure, I mean, it's real life. So.
Yeah. It's not far off.
So then they hear the trash compactor going off, which they all seem a little confused by. So I don't know who started it, but TJ maybe makes a reference or says something about like sounds like bones crunching, and Courtney passes out because she thinks that's Sally in the trash compactor.
She does, yes. And because Sally's now missing, the rest of the group, they're sort of believing that something has happened. They
Yeah.
don't know what it is, but they're like, oh, maybe Sally is in the garbage gimmick.
Yeah. And so they call the cops.
They call the police. Now, these have to be the two useless police officers ever. They are so horrible, but I do have to point out that their names are Officer Kruger and Officer Voorhees.
Yes.
And I'm sure everybody here knows, as a homage to Freddy Krueger and our friend Jason.
Yes.
So I really have to go off about how awful these police officers are. They come in, and number one, they don't believe anything the group is saying.
Yeah.
Right away, they just assume that everybody's on drugs.
Yes.
It's like a drug party. Okay.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, I feel like this is also like a stereotype in horror movies and movies in general, but like police are so fucking useless.
In these movies, for sure.
Like, they're so useless.
Yeah, and I mean, that does happen a lot in real life where the first thought is like, okay, are these people on drugs?
Yeah.
Okay, are they, you're like, I don't know if that's just the normal thought process
Like,
of
God
weeding
forbid,
out.
God forbid somebody's actually distressed.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go on and on about this,
Yeah.
but I was so upset with the way that they handled it and how they were just treating these kids, these distressed, upset kids, like they were just a bunch of junkies. And even if they were junkies, it's still your obligation to help them.
Yes.
I don't give a what you think is going on.
Yeah.
It's your job. It is literally your job to protect people and to help people.
Yeah.
So what the
Like, even if you don't think that anything happened to Sally per se, why are you meeting them with doubt immediately instead of saying, okay, give me the details so we can look into it?
It really did remind me of A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
How, no one believes the kids,
Yeah.
right? It was just a very cliche, but also I feel like very true to life as well at times.
Yeah. It is also interesting because it's not like Courtney was saying, I had a dream, right? She wasn't saying all this, I'm hallucinating, this man is coming.
No.
It was like, our friend is missing and we think she's in the trash compactor. Like, can you look in it for us?
Yes. And then, lo and behold, Sally comes home.
Yeah. I mean, they were right about nothing happened to Sally, but still.
It doesn't matter. They handled it terribly.
At least treat them like you're interested in helping them.
My favorite part, though, was then they were like, they give them all this and then they're sort of just like, they're very dismissive about it and are sort of like, I don't know if you guys are on drugs or what you're doing, but you're wasting our time. And they leave.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just such an awful scene. It pissed me off.
I think it's more infuriating because things like that really do happen in real life.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Mm-hmm.
So Matt brings Courtney a birthday cake in her bedroom, which also I was like...
Wait, we never explained when Matt got there.
When did he get there, actually?
I don't know. I forget.
Maybe he... Because I don't have it written down.
I didn't write it down.
He wasn't at the pool. So
he wasn't.
Maybe he just came over while they were waiting for the cops. Was he there in that scene?
I won't lie to you guys.
We can't remember.
I can't remember when Matt shows up, but let's just say...
And I just watched it last night.
Same. Matt showed up.
So either way, Matt brings Courtney a birthday cake into the bedroom. It looked like a huge fire hazard to me. So many candles.
No, you're right.
But it was very sweet.
It was very sweet.
I was like, oh, I love romance.
It was cute.
It was very, very sweet. And,
he's like McDreamy. Like, just like, he's good looking. He's in shape. He's so sweet. He's bringing gifts. He loves
romantic.
her. Yeah. Very sweet.
And, I mean, naturally, she's like, this guy is checking off all the boxes. They start making out.
Okay, but hold on. Wait a second.
Okay.
Wait a second. I want to remind our listeners that she has been having dreams and the sister has been telling her, don't go all the way.
Yes.
So this is kind of playing out in the background. And as they're sort of getting hot and heavy, the gang is downstairs playing music in the band.
Yeah.
So they're all just like rocking out. They're having a good time. It actually does look really fun.
Yeah.
Like they're all playing instruments. They're singing. It does look like a fun party.
Yeah.
And Matt and Courtney are upstairs.
They're upstairs. They're about to hook up. Rewatching this scene, I was like, wait a minute. I think I know what happens. We talked about it, but rewatching it, I was like, does it though? Anyway, so at one point they're making out. Matt's head disappears, so you just see Courtney. You don't know where he's going, really.
Uh-huh.
And she says, I've never... And then, oh boy, what do we call him at this point? The greaser guy.
The greaser guy.
Shows up in her mind and is like, gone all the way. So he finishes her sentence.
Wild.
And then he's in the room.
But I believe that it is implied that Courtney and Matt have just hooked up.
penetration has happened.
I
Is that
believe
what
it
you're
has.
saying?
I think
okay,
so.
So this is where I had the question, because that's what I thought too. And when we discussed it, I'm like, yeah, as soon as she had sex, he's like, I know I'm alive. Like, this is what brought me to life.
It's like her having sex with Matt opened the door for the driller killer to come out.
Which is very 80s to really, drill in.
Sex is bad.
Yeah.
Don't have sex.
Drill in people's head, no pun intended, don't have sex. So, but when watching the scene, it was just confusing because I feel like it didn't look like they were having sex. Like, their clothes were on. They could have been, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Maybe they were just doing it with their clothes on.
Yeah.
I don't know. But they definitely were getting hot and heavy.
Yes.
And the driller killer
Yeah.
used this as an opportunity. And the only reason I'm thinking that they actually did do the deed is because the sister kept saying, don't go all the way. As
Exactly.
if she knew. It's like she
Yes.
knew that the driller killer was just... he was waiting to be tagged in, man. He
Yeah,
was like,
he was.
oh, he was like, there.
Hot tag,
Like,
baby.
come on.
Yeah. Why that is what brought him into the real world, we don't know.
Well, he does have a giant drill on the end of his
He wants to drill too.
huge metaphor, I would say. Yeah, he's into it.
So he's now in the room.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, you're not real, you're not real, you're not real. He is real.
This scene, the first time I saw this movie, I actually, again, was so shocked by what happens because I thought this character was going to have like a larger role in the movie. Like I thought he was going to be one of our major players.
At least make it until almost the end.
Yeah, no, that wasn't the case. Driller killer shows up and
Matt gets it.
drilled right through, like from behind. He gets drilled.
Yeah. But through his chest.
A lot
From
of innuendos.
From behind, but through the back. Through the back. Yeah, I thought he was gonna. I did not think he was gonna be one of the first kids killed.
No, because he's such a nice guy that I thought he was gonna like maybe help save the day. Wrong.
No.
And who knows? Maybe he ends up being. You never know.
That's true.
He might have ended up. Maybe if he survived, he wasn't such a nice guy.
We've only seen a very limited.
We've really only seen his perspective through Courtney's lens.
That's true.
Right? Because she like kind of idolizes him a little bit.
Let's just assume he was a nice guy though.
No,
From
let's
what
just
we
pretend.
know.
Okay, yeah.
But so I know I kind of already started describing what driller killer looks
Oh
like.
yeah, please let's go into detail.
But yeah, now we need to go into detail. So I already mentioned multiple times he has a giant guitar, like an electric guitar with a drill on the end of it, like a huge drill
like
on the top of it.
A big old drill.
A big old drill.
Let's say drill.
It's a red guitar. He's wearing a leather jacket. He has like, I don't even know what this hairstyle is called from the 50s, but it's like the John Travolta in Grease.
Like the greaser
swoop.
look. Yeah.
Greaser little swoop.
Yep.
Black hair.
Yep. Black boots.
Dangly earring.
Oh yeah.
A cigarette behind his ear, at least at some point.
Like from the 50s.
Yes.
He really did. He looked like he was a greaser from the 50s.
He's rockabilly.
He is.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I'm going to say something that sounds weird, but he does look really cool. He looks so outrageous, and his guitar, he's got this big red, we'll put it on Instagram so you guys can see it, but this is big red crazy looking guitar with very like pointed edges. If you look at, there's a lot of sharp like pointy ends to it.
Yeah.
It could do a lot of penetrating is what I'm trying to suggest.
There are a lot of innuendos here.
There are a lot. And at the end of his guitar at the top, it's just a giant ass drill.
Yeah. And I will say, not unattractive.
He's really good looking.
So there's that, I guess.
He actually is good looking, and I don't know, him like playing guitar. I was like, do I have something for am I into the driller killer?
Am I attracted to you, or are you just playing the guitar?
I feel like we should talk about the actor too, because he had a lot of creative input into his character.
Yes.
And actually, something that you told me was that the director, Deborah, and what is his name?
Atanas Illich,
that they worked together to come up with the song and dance Let's Buzz, like the dance to it.
She said that in Into the Darkness 3.
Oh, In Search of Darkness 3.
In Search of Darkness, yes.
Please, if you guys have not watched the documentary, it's a 3-part documentary. It's like 12 hours, maybe longer. It's amazing.
Yeah, she said that in that documentary that they came up, they were very collaborative, and he was really down to help come up with things for his character.
Yes, and fun fact, he actually did release an album in 1986 entitled Shadows, and it's his only album.
I wonder if it's rockabilly.
I don't know, but I want it.
I also find it very interesting that he only has like 3 credits, and this is one of them.
Right, and you know what? He's so committed to the part.
I think he did a great job, so I was shocked to see that he only had 3 credits. Yeah. Also, I saw in your notes that you wrote that he's the son of the CEO of Little Caesars Pizza.
Yes, and did Little Caesars originate in Detroit?
I think it's a Michigan thing.
Wow.
I mean, Little Caesars Arena is here. So we wrestled at an arena before that his dad sort of maybe doesn't own, but
no, but
whatever.
we totally did though.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is the CEO of himself. And I do think Atanas.
Atanas.
I want to make sure I'm saying his name right.
I'm pretty sure that's how they were saying it in the doc.
He's fantastic as a driller killer. He's super committed. I think he's dancing. He's showboaty. I mean, he is like showboat. He is a professional wrestler.
I was going to say, he has wrestler charisma.
No, like
he
through
does.
the roof.
Yeah.
He really does.
He could have been a pro wrestler.
He doesn't hold back at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he kills Matt, and he's so proud of it too. And obviously Courtney's horrified. She gets blood all over her.
Yeah.
And she frantically runs downstairs to warn the others. And they're having a good time. But obviously they notice that Courtney is covered in blood.
Yes.
So they're no longer just thinking, oh, she's hallucinating. They're like, oh, this might be real.
Something's actually going on.
Something's happening. Here comes a driller killer.
Yes, now we can actually call him Driller Killer. That is his credit, right?
That's his name.
He doesn't have a name in the movie. Okay.
He's not Russ.
He's not Russ. That was one of the things I was confused about. I was like, wait, did that guy in the first movie who looked like a mechanic turn into this? But they're separate.
They're separate. They are separate. And I wonder if it's because, I wonder if like the atrocities, like the all that happened in the first movie, like opened the door to like some serious evil.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
Besides the fact that these are innuendos for, we know.
From a marketing standpoint, I just look at it like someone went, okay, we want this, but we got to make it sexier.
We got to figure this out.
We got to sex it up a little bit.
You know what would be really hot?
A rockabilly with a drill at the end of his guitar.
Have you ever seen Grease? We want him, guys, hold on.
Oh my god.
We want him to sing and dance, but we also want him to kill people. With his instrument.
So yes, I had that was one of the things I had a lot of questions about because I saw what Russ looked like in the first one and I'm like, wait, how did we get here?
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he comes right, he's chasing after Courtney, and the group obviously sees this and they kind of disperse. And so we've got Sheila and TJ, they take off together. We've got Jeff, Amy, and Courtney, and they take off together and they're in the kitchen. And poor Sally she's behind the drum kit, so she's kind of stuck.
Yeah, she's like in a corner.
And the driller killer is toying with her. There's very much cat and mouse here.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, it's so bizarre. He's like dancing and gyrating and jumping around, and there's music playing, which I really do think you guys should look up the track list if it's on Spotify and just listen to the tunes because they're great. I love the music.
I do, but there are some scenes where I'm like, wow, this seems like such an odd choice in music during what is happening.
I think that's what makes it so great.
It definitely puts you in a different mindset. Like, you don't feel scared.
No.
You feel like, I don't even know.
You feel entertained.
Yeah.
I guess. But so poor Sally is trying to evade him, and she almost does. Like, she really tries to get away from him, but unfortunately, she's backed up into a wall.
Yeah.
Pleading.
I know.
This is so sad.
I actually, okay, so this scene and someone else's death that we'll get to, it bothers me. Not bothers me. I don't know if that's the right word to use. This one for a different reason. So when they show this like profile view of the drill coming toward her hands are down. It drives me crazy when people don't put their hands up.
Cover up.
Because even though that drill's going to go through your hands anyway, naturally you are
instinct.
pushing or something.
Yeah.
And she's just like, ah! Like screaming with her arms down by her sides and whatever. It's just the shot they asked for. But stuff like that in movies drives me crazy sometimes.
I understand why.
I want to see like a natural reaction, you know?
I know. And then, you know what's so gross too? When someone puts their hands up like this in a movie and whatever the killer is using like slices through their hands, it gets me so ugh,
that's kind of what I
gross.
thought was gonna happen here, because how crazy would that have been
Like,
for her to
through
do
her hands?
this and it goes
Ooh.
through both hands into her like face or something.
I mean, that would have been very cool. But what it does do, it penetrates
It does.
through her like chest body and it goes all the way through the wall behind her into the phone.
Yes.
So like it disconnects the phone essentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. And so Jeff, Amy, and Courtney obviously are horrified by this. However, they don't know if Sally is dead.
Yeah.
They just know that something happened because
Yeah.
obviously they're on the other side of the wall.
Yeah.
And they kind of have a little discussion. They're like, we need to get the out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to the car.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to the car. Let's get help, whatever. But they realize they don't have car keys.
Yes.
Okay. So they're like, we need to get the keys.
Mm-hmm.
We also need to find Sally,
Mm-hmm.
which I appreciated, that they're not just going to abandon their friend. So Jeff, led by Jeff, they kind of sneak around the corner. They discover Sally.
Tragic.
Sad. And they don't know where the driller killer is.
Mm-hmm.
They also don't know where TJ and Sheila are.
Right. Because they just like abandoned them. They're like, bye.
They kind of did, but also TJ and Sheila sort of ran off, right? Like they kind of ran. They all kind of dispersed.
I guess. Maybe it's just a coincidence they ran off together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they do find the car keys.
Yes.
And they do get out of the house. They run to the car. They get in. It's a great scene, you know? It's very like frantic energy. You don't know if the driller killer's going to pop out and start singing and dancing. You have no idea what's going to happen.
It looks like they're about to get away.
It really does. It's great. I love this scene.
They're driving away.
Please tell
and
the
they're
scene.
just kind of like, you know, they're upset, obviously. They're scared. They're driving. Jeff is in the driver's seat. And then just casually, driller killer's face just pops up out of the back.
It's amazing.
I don't even remember what he says. Do you remember? He says something sarcastic, I'm sure. Like, hey, whatever he says, it's just like...
He's singing lines. Like, everything he says sounds like a lyric.
He does say a lot of lyrics. One of them, at some point, not yet, but I know he does say, like, I can't get no satisfaction, which we know is from a song.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure the other ones are too, even if I didn't get the reference. He probably does say something like that here, but he's super casual about it.
Mm-hmm.
He just pops his head up, and obviously they're like, freak out, and then he drills through the back of the driver's seat.
It's amazing.
Through Jeff.
It's great. It's a great scene. It's
Or
a great
Jeff.
scene.
R.I.P. Jeff.
R.I.P. Jeff.
I liked Jeff.
I didn't mind Jeff at all. I really didn't mind Jeff because, you know what, at least he's trying to help everyone out and get everybody the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's drilled. Jeff is drilled.
He's drilled.
And he's dead.
And now, do we cut to Sheila and TJ here?
Yeah, so we see Sheila and TJ running to the neighbor's house, and they're like banging on the door, and they're just like, please let us in, please let us in, please. The neighbor's not letting them in, and here comes the driller killer.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to be magical. He has to be. I mean, obviously, he's some kind of entity because he, you know, came from somewhere. But
from her imagination.
I guess so, yeah. But he has musical powers. I mean, he has that
He
too.
does also have musical powers.
But he is kind of everywhere at once. Like, he knows where everyone is at every time. And it is very cat and mouse. And I think the times where they are away from him, they're not really away from him.
Yeah.
So he catches up to TJ and Sheila. TJ tries to run away. I love this scene because... Take it away.
So Sheila leaves. I think she's just like, she's trying to drag TJ actually at this point.
Yeah, like she's trying to get away.
He's injured. So she's like helping him hobble.
Yes.
And
because I think he might have, maybe the driller killer had caught him on something at some point.
Yeah. And he kind of gets caught against the garage door. Mm-hmm. And I think you had written in your notes that he cuts him in half, but I think he just drills him through the torso. I'm trying to remember exactly.
He like drills him in the torso, but like he kind of brings the guitar up, so it kind of.
Okay.
I wouldn't say he's totally in half, but he's he's sliced and diced.
Yes.
With a giant drill.
Yes. And so he's there. Sheila's running away.
But the best part is the neighbor.
I was just about to say. Yeah.
The neighbor.
I do remember that part.
Opens the door finally and just goes, "Kids."
Yeah.
And then it pans to the garage, and TJ is. Dead.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. He's gone. See you later, TJ.
Bye.
Bye. You're a piece of... Okay.
So, I think this is where Driller Killer breaks out into his own song and dance.
Oh, he is.
Like his whole performance. Is this Let's Buzz?
Not quite,
It's
but
not?
almost. We're almost there. So we cut back to Courtney and Amy. They get back to the house and they run up the stairs and they start barricading themselves into a bedroom.
Okay.
And at the same time, Driller Killer is stalking Sheila.
Yes.
So Sheila makes her way back to the house, and now
he breaks into song and dance.
Let's buzz. It's great.
It's...
I love it.
this is like his full performance here. Like,
Oh, this is like, if this was an actual musical, this is his solo number.
Yes, I think he might even put the guitar down at one point. He's just dancing.
He is gyrating. He is into it.
He's like, I think he like drops down into the splits, or like almost splits at one point.
He does.
I'm like, oh,
He's a rock star.
yes. That's why I'm shocked he hasn't done more in entertainment. But so there's something about Sheila's kill, because obviously he's stalking her. You know what's going to happen. That really stuck with me.
Me too.
In a bad way.
Yeah, it's very tragic.
And I was trying to dissect, why did this like disturb me more than other ones in the movie. So he does maybe it's because he sang her a whole musical number before he killed her.
Well, he's almost serenading her.
Yeah.
He's almost he's really glorifying the fact that he's about to drill and kill her.
Yeah.
And he's playing with her.
Yes.
And she's desperately trying to get away. And as she's getting away from him and she's making her way to the bedroom door, Courtney and Amy are calling the police.
Yes.
And these pick up the phone and they straight up tell her they're not going to help her and to not call them again.
Wild. Like, you got to tell me that person got fired after that. Maybe in the 80s not, though.
Probably not. I feel like that's definitely some like social commentary.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, for real.
They were useless. And what stuck out to me though was like, why is no one else calling their parents?
Yeah.
Like, why? I mean, I guess maybe Courtney feels like her mom has already been through enough. I don't know.
That is a good point. I mean, to me, the smart thing to do is you call the police first.
Yes.
Because, sometimes they'll say, oh, I'm going to call this person in an emergency. And you're like, no, why wouldn't you call the cops first?
Call the cops, but...
So, yeah, but why after? Maybe because, so after this, they call the police, they're useless.
Mm-hmm.
I think this also goes into why Sheila's kill stuck with me, because Sheila's on the other side of the door.
Oh, it's
where Courtney and Amy are.
It's tragic.
And she's banging on the door begging to be let in. And Courtney and Amy hear the driller killer out there.
But they do, at first they try, they're like...
were they?
Yeah, so at first they start moving they start moving stuff. They're like, oh, that's Sheila. And then Courtney hears the driller killer. And she's like, no, because I think she thinks that maybe he's f***ing with them.
Like decoy.
Yes.
That's true. I didn't even notice that they pulled it away. I only noticed when they're pushing it against the door.
It is so sad.
It is really sad. And so he's like stalking her, Sheila, who's sitting at the door begging to be let in.
Oh, it's so sad.
The girls at this point are now like making sure no one can get in. And you're like, oh, like you're just like letting your friend out there. But like, yeah, they might think he is tricking them, possibly. I thought they just didn't hear her and were only hearing him singing his musical number. I don't know.
I don't know.
But
you could also be correct. I just know that they did start to let her in. And then they stopped. And the scene where she's kind of got her hand on the handle of the door and she's begging to be let in.
Yeah. And then when he catches her and he finally uses the drill, the way she like bounces, I don't like it. I don't know what it is compared to the other ones, why the other ones don't bother me like that, but there's something about hers that just like stuck with me in a bad way. I was like, I'm uncomfortable.
It made me uncomfortable too. I think that it's just the whole setup. It's so tragic. Imagine that. Like,
you know what it is? It's because it's partially off camera. You see it happen, but you only see it from like, you can see her head and her shoulder and him. So like the camera's behind her. You don't see this, which practical effects sometimes I think help me dissociate from what I'm seeing or just disconnect from what I'm seeing. When it's off camera or they leave things to the imagination, sometimes that disturbs me more. Because whatever you can imagine is probably worse than anything they can actually show you on screen.
Agreed.
So sometimes it doesn't help that you put it off screen. It's making it worse in my head. And I think maybe that's why.
It was a really sad scene. It was a really sad scene, Yeah. Because you are rooting for these girls.
I was.
Especially the girls. The guys, whatever. They're,
Just really TJ is the one that I wasn't rooting for. Like, honestly, Matt and Jeff? Hardy?
Wrestling. It just comes back to wrestling.
It all comes back to wrestling. No, TJ was the only one that I was really like, get TJ.
Oh yeah, he's the worst.
But
true, Jeff wasn't bad, I guess. But I really was rooting for our gals because, it's friendship. They're all really close. And I think, and also, Courtney's already been through so much.
Yeah.
And now she's losing all her friends. Oh, God.
And even though we talked before about how like, oh, driller killer, he's not unattractive. Like, we're still not rooting for him.
Oh.
I didn't like him at any point in this movie.
No, I'm not advocating for the driller killer.
He's the heel still.
He's charming. He's a charming heel.
Sometimes they, the quote unquote bad guy becomes the icon, and
Sure.
that's who you're like, oh, but we're kind of rooting for him because he's kind of funny. You know what happened with Chucky? It happened with Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
But not so much Driller Killer. I still am rooting against him. At least me personally. I don't know.
But I don't know if I don't know. I'm not rooting for him.
Yes,
but I love the character and I love the concept of him.
Same.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that if there were sequels including him, he wouldn't have become that as well.
Right.
So, anyway.
Okay.
Let's buzz, everybody.
Let's buzz. Yeah. So, Courtney, Amy, they escape.
Yes.
It's very dramatic, but they get out of the house and now they're running through this developmental complex.
Yes.
And they're sort of like climbing up like wooden framework and they're going through like half-built houses. And when they're being chased by the driller killer, because obviously he's coming after them, he scrapes or like kind of gashes Amy with the end of his drill.
Yeah.
But she still gets away. And as this is all happening, describe the music that's playing.
Oh, I think this might be where I was like, okay, is this rockabilly? Like, I was trying to decipher, am I getting the genre right? Like, it almost, I don't want to say it doesn't fit the scene, but it is not what you would typically hear in a scene like this for a movie.
Of course not. This is like a huge chase scene.
Yeah.
Where like their lives are on the line. Their lives, whatever.
Lives.
And the music that's playing is almost like something you would see in like a 50s like swing dancing sort of like, and he is enjoying this.
Yeah.
This is like his moment to shine. This is like, you know, his solo act. He's dancing, he's gyrating, he's playing his guitar. And even though it seems like they're getting away from him, we know they're not. He knows where they are at all times. So for him, this is just a game.
Yeah.
And which I think makes it even more twisted.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is just a performance for him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so at some point, Amy gets like knocked off maybe like the second story of his house.
Oh, she full on falls from like the framework of the house and just dies.
Oh, but first, so I don't know exactly what happened first. She falls, but off the edge, and Courtney grabs her. She's gonna try to pull her up.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
And then Driller Killer comes, like swipes at them. Courtney lets go, and then Amy falls.
Right.
So
That
yes.
is true. Yes.
I couldn't remember exactly how she like fell off the edge to begin with.
I
but
couldn't
either way.
remember at all, but I know she falls and dies.
Yeah, she falls and dies.
Yes,
Okay.
and the driller killer, like, she's been bleeding, right? So, like, the driller killer's kind of tipped off by where they are because she's bleeding and leaving a blood trail. But he already knows where they are.
That's
So
they definitely allude to the fact that he's, oh, here's blood, but it's like you are magic or something.
yeah, like he already kind of knows. I feel like he's just making the game more complicated for himself because it's fun or something.
Maybe he needs to make it more challenging for himself.
Yes, and okay, after she falls, obviously Courtney's so distraught and crying, and she turns and looks, and the driller killer is kind of like looking through her, like looking through like not a window, but because the house isn't totally built, it's almost like he's looking through a wall that's not built yet.
Yeah.
And he's staring at her and he's singing, and he says, I think the line is, and then she had to die. And then he looks at her and he's like, and then she had to die. And it's so it actually stuck with me.
Yeah.
Because he's just straight up telling her, like, I'm gonna kill you whether you like it or not.
It's mental torture.
It
100%.
is, but I thought it was so well done. And I thought his delivery was like, chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so walk us through the next part, because I know what happens, but I'm like, how did she get this?
Well, Driller Killer's about to kill her.
Yes.
And she has like a moment of pure rage. Like her eyes, like something in her eye. Like, you know what it is? It's like when you poke a bear too many times, or you're like harassing a dog or whatever, and they're not going to take it anymore. I hate to compare her to that, but like, and she just flips a switch.
Yeah.
And she sets him on fire.
Completely ablaze.
I mean, he is on fire. She looks, by the way, I love this scene because this is like a final girl moment.
Yeah.
She is like, you have killed all of my friends.
Mm-hmm.
You tortured my sister. You are actively trying to hunt me. You are hunting me and killing me.
Yeah.
And then she's just like, not anymore, mother. And I love it. I was so pumped.
I loved that. I loved how it unfolded. On the other hand, I also kind of felt like I don't know why, but it almost happened too fast for me. Like I was like, oh, she set him on fire. Oh, he's dead. Like, I don't know. I think I kind of anticipated something a little more drawn out.
Okay.
Maybe because he was drawing everything out.
Sure.
So, like, I almost...
you were hoping, like, maybe
Yes.
she would mentally with him a little bit.
A little more comeuppance.
Kind of like in Scream when Sydney grabs, like, the voice changer and is hiding in the house.
Yes.
Kind of like that.
I'm going to give it back to you.
Yes.
And it's satisfying because you're like, yes, give him what he gave
him.
you. Especially because every single person he killed, it was, like, drawn out. Like, you are performing whole ass acts.
I know. Could you imagine if this was...
What?
Could you imagine if this actually, like, came to, like, a like it was, like, an actual musical theater?
It
like,
could be.
Like a play?
It could be.
I would pay to go see that.
I'm surprised it actually hasn't happened.
I wish we could do that.
I mean, hey.
Okay, would you guys come to a Slumber Party Massacre 2, like, theatrical performance? Because I would be front row.
Oh,
I would want to be in it.
I was going to say, I'm not going to be in it, but I'll be there.
I want to be in it.
Okay, I'll be in it, but I don't want to sing. I can't sing, actually.
Oh, my voice is absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. I'll have to have someone off stage, like, singing, and I'll just be, like, miming.
Well, not every character sings, right?
No, only the driller killer. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, and our lead
The
singer.
The band.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, just the lead singer. You're
I
right.
can play guitar. I'll play guitar. You can just mime the drums.
This is me. I'm like the animatronic at Chuck E. Cheese.
Those are terrifying. Have you looked at what those
Terrifying.
things look like?
And it upsets me that they don't exist anymore. Do you know they took them out of Chuck E. Cheese's?
I mean, I kind of understand why. They do look really scary.
These kids of this generation need to be traumatized like we were.
Okay, that's
I'm
fair.
just kidding.
No, really, they were really scary. If you look them up, guys, if you have a second, Google animatronic band members from Chuck E. Cheese. They're terrifying. Okay.
Also, Chucky himself now looks crazy. They revamped him. He doesn't have eyelashes, eyelids, or eyebrows, and he looks very scary.
Oh my god. So you mean the mouse?
He looks like this.
The mouse?
Yes, the mouse.
Oh, that's so weird. I haven't been to a Chuck E. Cheese in a long time. I was honestly so afraid of Chuck E. Cheese because I've been a germaphobe ever since I was, like, born.
Oh,
so
that's disgusting in there.
All I think about. And when I was a kid, like, anytime I went into, like, a play place, that's all I would think about is all the germs.
Oh, they don't have the ball pit anymore either for that reason.
Can you imagine how many kids peed, pooed, and threw up in the ball pit?
It always smelled like just like dirty socks.
Like feet.
And that's exactly what was in there, so it makes sense. Anyway, sorry, we digress.
Very on brand for us.
I'm like, where were we? Oh yeah, so he gets set ablaze.
Yeah. And I mean, I would imagine he goes back where he came from, right?
Sure.
Because there's not really a body. He just...
Well, we do kind of see something.
Right.
So he gets set on fire. Now it looks like it's the next morning. They show Amy being wheeled out in an ambulance. So you think like, oh, did she survive?
She might have.
Because we don't know for sure.
Right.
And then her eyes open on the gurney or whatever she's on. And she starts laughing, but the voice is the driller killer that's coming out of her.
Right.
So at first I'm like, hold up, is she possessed?
Possessed?
Oh, no, don't even. Is she possessed? Is she possessed or is she possessed? Okay, if you watched my Demon Lover episode, you understand what we're talking about. So I was like confused about that. But then suddenly Courtney wakes up and she's in bed. And you're like, oh, she's with Matt. And I was like, did she just dream this? Because I actually would have been okay with that.
I would have too.
Because I was like, oh, you get to wake up in bed with your crush.
With your
like,
hunky man.
And she's like happy and she leans over and she starts kissing him. And then these arms wrap around her that are the driller killer. And so she, sits back and she's scared. She gasps, and then driller killer, his face looks a little burnt, so it looks like whatever happened.
Yeah.
Like scratched and burnt. So like maybe, okay, that really happened. I forget what he says to her, but obviously there's a little creepy interaction, and then she wakes up again, but now she is in the quote unquote mental hospital screaming. The same one we saw her sister in previously. So, and then a drill starts coming through the floor. That's the last scene. And so I'm assuming he is still alive.
Yes.
Though I have a lot of questions because this could mean several different things.
Well, I think first of all, we should know. I think at this point, we are living in a supernatural universe. Would you say?
I don't know. That's one of my questions.
One of my questions as well is this all in her head?
That's my first question. Did she imagine all of this?
I don't think so.
Okay. So yeah, was she there the whole time imagining this was my first question.
Right. I think it's like could go either way, right? It's kind of like alluding, like, oh, maybe.
Yeah, I
know?
think it's definitely open to interpretation, but this is the kind of left open that I like.
I agree. And also, it's pretty sad, I think, that Valerie ended up in an institution because of what happened with her, and Courtney ended up in an institution because of what happened to her. And I think it's kind of like a thing of, at least the way that I was interpreting it, is like, they don't, yes, it was a very, very traumatic experience, but I think the fact that they're just disregarded and left in an institution
Oh, that's horrible.
is awful.
Yeah.
And I do think I don't want to say that's completely true to life, but
Yeah.
I think people that have mental health issues are disregarded at times.
It's absolutely true to life. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that part of it I thought was really sad. And I know that's really heavy for like a movie like this, but I do believe that the director and the writer, like, there's more to it than just a silly musical. I think they were really trying to say something.
It's absolutely a sign of the times, and especially, I know I feel like I say that a lot, but we're talking about 80s movies a lot, and there are a lot of representations of what was going on in the world.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like we could go on and on about the issues with 80s movies, and we all know there are some. So obviously, we don't want this to turn into like a doom and gloom.
Right.
But I think it is important to point out that I think them both ending up there, two women having very traumatic experiences, it doesn't surprise me that they are thrown into mental institution rather than being believed, is the point I'm trying to make. They're not, I feel like no one believes them.
Yeah.
And as we know,
sometimes it's really hard to be believed.
Especially when it comes to driller killer situations. I guess is the point I'm trying to make. And I felt for Courtney.
Yeah.
I really did.
So my questions were, number one, you already said, did she imagine all of this? Second, did she kill all of her friends? And that's why she's in this, now she's locked up somewhere.
Okay.
Or lastly, did all of this really happen as we saw it? And she just got put in an institution because no one believes her.
I think it's the third one. I do. I think it might be the third one.
It could easily be that.
But it could easily be it could be any of those.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. It's hard to say. I think in any event, it's a really, really fun movie. Yeah. I think it touches on a lot of different themes and obviously like issues, signs of the time, etc., like we were talking about. But I think pushing all of that aside and just looking at it through the lens of it's just a fun horror movie. Yeah. You can also look at it that way. Yes. You know, because it really is. It's entertaining.
Yeah. It was a great recommendation. I really want to watch the reboot. I haven't seen it yet.
The reboot's actually really good.
I want to watch it.
I liked it. I feel like it might be a reboot of the original, but I could be wrong. I think it came out in 2021 is when I saw it, and it was a sci-fi movie. Okay. And it ended up being really good. Okay. Which sci-fi movies aren't always. You know what else was really good? The Leprechaun reboot.
Oh, really?
From the Sci-Fi, I think it was Sci-Fi Channel. It was good.
I didn't see that one either.
I don't know if that's a hot take.
Have you ever seen Leprechaun in the Hood?
No.
You haven't?
I've never seen it.
I was sure you were going to say yes. Sorry, I didn't mean to yell into your ears right now.
Oh, we should totally watch it.
We're going to have a conversation.
We got to cover it, for sure.
At least have a conversation off this podcast. Okay. Yeah. So, make sure that you are checking out our social media. We have TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook at Chainsaw Girls Pod. We also have a Gmail.
It is chainsawgirlspod@gmail.com if you want to send us suggestions, ideas, thoughts on the movies, whatever. We want to hear from you. We love to hear from you. And please, if you haven't already, please subscribe and give us a 5-star review because it really does help our channel grow.
Thanks.
Channel? Is it channel?
This is a channel if they're watching the video.
If you're watching on YouTube. Yes. Okay.
But also on Spotify, Apple, all those places.
You guys get the point. We're really good at this.
Can't you tell?
Okay, bye.